Hi, friends. This is Lisa Rogers, CEO of Cali Girl Fitness, and welcome to my new podcast, I've Got Your Back, where we will discuss all things fitness and back pain, from text neck, from hunching over your cell phone and your computer too much, to all things low back pain and sciatica, chronic pain, and how to deal with headaches and migraines that we all seem to be getting. I am a corrective exercise specialist, so I'm certified through NASM, NASM, and I work with a lot of, in Palos Verdes, I worked with a lot of older adults. After they've had an injury or had a surgery, they'd go to physical therapy, and then they would get sent to me to get stronger, to be able to have a more functional and a better postural experience. So I've worked with people from teenagers to 92 years old. The average age at our club in Palos Verdes was 60, 70, 80, 90. And these people, these older adults, they are busy and thriving and amazing. You can have fitness at any age. So I wanted to start this podcast. I've been wanting to do this for quite a long time. I'm excited to finally be able to do this because I want to help people with back pain. Many of you know that when I was 18, I lived in the snow and I rolled and totaled my car in a snowy car accident where I was all by myself. I was basically in a rain and snowstorm. I was all the way over in the slow lane, and another car came in front of me, and I slammed on my brakes and I hydroplaned across 3 sections of the freeway. So the first miracle that happened is that I was not hit and that I didn't hit anybody else going across 3 sections of the freeway in this storm. And then all of a sudden I hit the embankment and there was a huge ditch, and I started to roll, and that's when it started to become like a scene from the movies where everything started going in slow motion, and I started to slowly tip, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to die and I can't do anything about it. And then I'm hanging upside down from my seatbelt, and then it kept happening over and over and over again. The windows from the back of the car. And this, I was 18 years old. I'm 42 now. I had a Geo Metro. They don't even make those anymore, but it's basically like a tin box on wheels. The fact that it didn't just crush me on impact was another miracle. I kept hitting my head against the driver's side window each time. It was a miracle that the front windows didn't break, only the back ones and the hatchback. My purse that was sitting in my lap ended up in the back of the car. I somehow ended up on the other side of the road, because when the police officer went to take me home, he said, "Where do you live?" And I kept pointing forward, and I was driving south. I had no idea that I was already on the other side of the road going north. And he's like, "No, north is this way." Now, I was so fortunate because I was able to walk away and basically not have a traumatic injury, and I was alone, nobody got hurt, so that was a massive miracle in and of itself. Now, I was young and dumb and stupid, and I didn't go and get checked out because nothing was bleeding. I was more terrified to go home and face my dad when this police officer was dropping me off, and the police officer said, "Oh my gosh, your family's going to be so happy. You're so lucky to be alive." And I'm like, "My dad's going to kill me. I ruined my car." Sorry, Dad, I love you. But I was a little nervous about that. Of course, they loved me when I got home. I was grounded for at least a month, while my car was being fixed, and my mom had to drive me to work because I had my job back then. So that was the beginning of the first of my injury. And I feel like with a lot, or at least what I've seen, and like I said, I am a personal trainer. I am not a doctor. Always consult a physician. This is just my personal advice. And I help with people on the exercise after they've been cleared from physical therapy. So if you go have a surgery, then they're going to send you to physical therapy, and then either one of two things is going to happen. Either, you might get like 20 sessions. Do your sessions. Absolutely do them. They're paid for it. Like, do your sessions. Or, and then the sessions run out. That doesn't mean that you're done. That just means that your insurance has stopped paying them. Or they've given you basic things, and maybe you didn't have surgery. Maybe it's a basic injury that you're having some issues with, or nerve pain or something. Maybe you don't have the nerve pain, but you need to make those muscles stronger that were weak. And that's when they send people to me as a corrective exercise specialist. And that's where I can help people. And I do online one-on-one training as well. And part of why I wanted to be able to get this podcast out there and do things online instead of just being confined to our little club, being able to reach out and help more people that have chronic pain. My whole goal is to have less pain. We are going to live in these bodies for a really long time. They say that the average age of our generation is living to be anywhere from 90 to 110. I know that I have neck pain, and if I don't do things and address my back postural muscles to help them now, it's going to be so much harder later. And I'm going to be living in this body for a really long time. So I have made it sort of my life's mission to personally find things that help me, whether it's neck pillows or rolly balls or the physical therapy massage balls or little craniosacral stands. And I have all kinds of toys and tricks that I use for not only myself, that I also research and I find for my clients to try and help them out as well. So hopefully in the future, I'll be able to get on some of the inventors and some people from the companies to talk about some of these products that I know have helped me. And hopefully some companies will send me some products to review. So in the future, I'd like to be able to show and demonstrate. And I will tell you straight up whether or not I like it or not, and whether I think it works or if it's a waste of time and money. And a lot of things a lot of times you can work your muscles instead of buying a contraption, because the contraption doesn't build the muscle that helps fix things. I found that there's two things that really, really help, and that is loosening up your fascia, and you're not so, like, the physical therapy balls have been my number one tool to loosen up the knots. But then if you don't address where the problem is, it's just like getting a massage. It's going to go right back to being tight again a couple days later, because you haven't addressed the issue. So if you do them in tandem, if you loosen them up and then you anchor, you have your muscles to anchor and hold them in place, that's when the magic happens, and that's when you can kind of really help with chronic pain. So I had my first accident when I was 18, totaled that car. And then a few years later, I got an SUV. I lived at the mouth of the big major ski resort canyons. The snow had come down so hard, and the sun hadn't come out for the day. So I hit black ice, and I spun, and I literally leveled a brick mailbox and the neighbor's tree. And again, hit my head on that same side. Again, walked away, car was totaled. I was not, no one else was in my car, and no one else was in the accident, and I didn't harm anybody, thank heavens. And then I've been rear-ended and vice versa a lot over the years. So all of that adds up. Sometimes it's not on the moment of impact that you feel like I felt strain, and but I honestly, I'd never done physical therapy before. I didn't think anything about it. It wasn't until years later that I was actually teaching aerobics. So I was teaching kickboxing, and I had been out of town, and I owed everybody favors, and I came back into town, and I taught about 10 classes in a row that week, and I taught a hip hop and a kickboxing and hip hop class back to back. So a lot of time with back pain, anytime you do anything high impact, running, jumping, bouncing, it's like impacting and sending shock waves up your spine. At least that's what my doctor told me. So whatever was already going on in there from all these years, when I landed just the right amount of wrong. And I could not move my head to even look and change lanes in the car. I could not put my head to the pillow on either side. I had radiating nerve pain going down my left arm. And it wasn't until crying myself to sleep for 2 nights that my mom finally made me go to the doctor, and I said, okay, I'll go. And then he took one look at my x-rays and immediately said, oh my goodness, have you just recently been in a car accident? And I said, no, I've been in a lot over the years. And he said, well, your cervical 3, 4, and 5 tilt inward, and you have degenerative disc. Actually, it took a little while. It took MRIs and all of that stuff later to figure that out. And, for me, I've always had a full-time corporate job, and then I've taught fitness on the side. I've taught fitness classes for probably about 20 years now. So my first question was, all right, how many subs do I have to have? Am I going to be out for like a couple weeks? And he basically spelled it out. He's like, Lisa, you are not listening to me. You can never, ever, ever again do high impact. You cannot run, jump, even running up and down the stairs. All of that is like sending shock waves up your spine. Now, at the time, I had a bulging disc. So those discs are supposed to provide cushion. And if your spine compresses it too much, it's going to bulge like a balloon on one side, and that's what's hitting the nerve. And that's what caused my nerve pain. Now, I don't have the nerve pain anymore. I rarely get that, but I do have chronic neck pain and tension and get cervical headaches and migraines. And so I'm always looking for ways to help so that I can make my head and neck stronger so I have less pain. So that has pretty much been pretty much controlled over the years. And then most of you know, this is why I'm so excited to finally be getting this podcast. I've been under the radar because this past year, my place got flooded in Palos Verdes by the upstairs unit. They were snaking the drain, and it came through my ceilings, and we didn't know if the old popcorn ceilings were asbestos. So they had to get it tested, and we didn't get the information back for months, so I wasn't able to go into my place. And then it took 6 months, and they never fixed it. They never cleaned it. And then I had another 6 months of going to mediation. So I didn't have a place to film and like properly be able to work with online clients. So I've kind of been MIA, and now I'm back. So I'm so excited to be back, and I'm excited to be able to help and work with people. I'm in a good place. I love where I live. I moved after 15 years of being in LA. I moved down to Newport, and I love it here. It's fantastic. So this is embarrassing as a trainer to say, when I was displaced for 6 months, it was so stressful, and mentally, emotionally, physically, everything. I didn't have my own bed. My bed was ruined. I didn't have my own bed for 6 months. I kept eating out because I didn't have like full ways to cook. I didn't have my kitchen. And then for part of the time, I didn't have a microwave, so I couldn't even like reheat my food. And I don't cook a lot, but my schedule was off. Man, did I eat comfort food, and I ate out, and I ate so many chocolates. I love carbs, cheese, and chocolates. I am not the trainer that loves just eating chicken every week and loves eating salads. Like, I have to really force myself to eat some of those things. And I have to watch my weight, especially after turning 40. It's a lot easier to gain and a little bit harder to get it off. So I gained 22 pounds while I was displaced for those 6 months. And then as soon as I got my own bed and access to a microwave again, I started working on getting it off. And I had to kind of reverse engineer. So at our club in Palos Verdes, we have this very expensive high-grade medical scale called an in-body, and you stand on it and you hold hold it with your arms, and it measures from your feet. And it will tell you what's water weight, where you typically, like women are usually around like 70% water weight, and then it will tell you what's muscle and what's fat, and then it breaks down your BMI. But what was really cool that I'd never seen is that it breaks down what your BMR is, your basal metabolic rate. So that's what you're burning a day. So depending on what your muscle is, that's also part of where you get your BMR. Now, you don't have to have one of these fancy scales. There's apps and there's ways that you can do it, and I can teach you how to figure out what your BMR was. Now, my BMR was closer to like 1,400, but when I was eating too much, I was eating a good 1,000 calories over what I was burning a day. So that's where I was gaining weight. Now, I didn't want to go cold turkey and be hangry by subtracting a full 1,000 calories. I didn't know, I refused to kind of count every single calorie that I eat, and I'm eating out so much. I'm single and I go out with people quite a bit. I didn't want to have to count everything. I didn't want to have to do meal plans where I had to eat the same thing all the time or subscribe to like a program, because those only work while you're on it, and then you go back to the old habits, and then you go back to the old things. So I needed to do it in a way that I could still eat the things that I like, but I could scale back a little bit. And so I did the math, and this works for almost everybody, where if you can skip a couple of things a day that are excess, I'm not saying just eat a couple things a day. I'm saying the excess things that are over your BMR. If you can skip a couple of those every single day, 7 days a week, until it equals 3,500 calories, which is roughly around 500 calories a day, then you can lose up to a pound of fat a week. And this works for everybody. It works for men, it works for women, it works for whatever size you are, whether you want to lose 5 to 10 pounds, to 15 to 150 or 200 pounds. The only thing that's going to change is your timeline. And if you have more to lose, you actually have a bigger range to work with. So you can kind of gradually scale back faster and lose more. If you only have a couple pounds to lose, you don't want to do this for a long period of time, or you want to scale back and do little, because you don't want to go below your BMR and lose too much too fast. So what is your BMR? That's what you're burning. So even if you get sick and you Netflix and chill at home, on your couch, you're still at that BMR. You still need to eat that much. So you still need, like for me, I needed that 1,400 calories, because what happens is if you don't eat that, you're going to drop below your BMR, and it instead of eating fat, it's going to get your muscle, and that eventually brings your BMR down, and then you burn less calories. You get hangry, you get lethargic, and we fail at diets because we're not feeding ourselves enough. So the good thing is you can still eat the things that you like. You don't have to starve, but you can lose weight by skipping around 2 things a day. So I call it my power of 2, and I will be bringing back my power of 2 programs and training so that I can help people with that. And you can contact me at caligirlfitnessguru.com or reach out, and if we're friends on Facebook or Instagram, you can DM me or PM me. All right, a couple of other things that I wanted to mention. This past year with the flood has been mentally, emotionally, so I've lost the 22 pounds, by the way, so I'm in a good space. This last year has been so emotionally taxing and tolling. I also want to build a tribe and have this be a place of emotional support too. That I've got your back when I was in Palos Verdes, I had so many people that would step in just when I was ready to give up and say, okay, here's who you need to talk to at the city because they didn't do things properly and have proper permits, and it, you know, you need to talk to this person, you need to do this, this, and this, just when I needed it. It's so easy to have somebody's back when they're doing well, when they're being successful, right? But when, you know, people have hard times that they're going through, and you stick by them and you say, don't worry, I've got your back, let me hold, you know, and it doesn't have to be a monetary thing. It can be, you know, just saying the right thing at the right time. That's what got me through this, and having wonderful people that supported me and, you know, saying kind things and pointing me in the right direction was huge. So you just never know. So my challenge to all of you is to, you know, to reach out to somebody that needs it and just say, hey, I've got your back. I also want to create a positive environment, and whether it's mental and emotional stress and ways to de-stress, I found all of these different things. Like when I was having nightmares and I couldn't sleep at night because I was having nightmares that the ceiling was falling in on me, I would use different meditation apps and things to try and help myself go to sleep. And then after I moved, all of the things that the flood that got ruined, I had to let it go. I did a lot of Marie Kondo, if it does not spark joy, let it go. And I gave away and got rid of so much stuff. And I created a better, clean, positive, like my bedroom is almost like a spa. I've got my diffuser in there, and I have light and this beautiful angel picture that I won that is by Deanne Herbert. She does just the most beautiful angel paintings. And one of the sayings for this year for me has been, there are angels among us, be one. So for somebody else, I mean, those people that came, they were like angels on earth. They that came up to me and said, you know, here's who you need to talk to in the city. We're rooting for you. You know, we've got your back. Like they were awesome angels in my life. So hopefully you can be that to somebody else, and that's the tribe that I want to build. This is my very, very, very first podcast, so thank you so much for listening. If you find that you are feeling the tension in your neck and shoulders from hunching over your cell phones, and you need tips to help with your postural pain, if you have back pain, if you have low back pain, or know somebody who does. I do corrective exercise. It's not just for back pain. That's just my personal passion and specialty. But whether it's hips or knees or whatever it is, there are a lot of ways that I can help. Doing assessments and postural assessments are really hard to do on yourself, and it's something that I can look, we can Skype, and I can see what's tight and what's weak and what needs to be strengthened and what needs to be stretched. And then I have all kinds of tools, and I'll be going over a lot of these things on this podcast. So I hope you join. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to this first one. If this is something that has helped you, or you have people that you think it might help, please subscribe and forward this along. And thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and for all of you that have supported me. And I challenge you to go out and find somebody that needs your help and say, hey, I've got your back. I know you're going through tough times. I got you. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you join again.